Hey guys, this is Ray with PS Nation, and before I get started with The Last of Us 2 review, I wanted to let you guys know that this review steers clear of all story elements for The Last of Us 2. So if you've managed to stay away from the leaks and spoilers that are circling the internet, nothing will be spoiled here either. But I gotta say, it's tough not to get into the narratives for this game when it and its predecessor are so steeped in lore and characters that gamers have grown to love. But I will say this. The Last of Us 2 has a story that is worth experiencing. It shows a level of maturity and pacing that only works in literature, film, and then now a game like this. You know, it's a time when characters are jumping over each other's lines just to keep the momentum going for viewers. It's refreshing to see a pregnant pause in dialogue and expression. None of it feels forced, nor does it come off as pretentious. What it does instead is it makes these characters emote like real people, not actors in a video game. You guys remember the original Resident Evil's acting? Yes, classic. Well, imagine that, but the opposite. That's what Last of Us 2 is. It's the complete opposite of the acting of Resident Evil 1. The gameplay feels familiar for those who have played the original game. Choices can be made between approaching enemies with stealth, making a lot of noise, and getting those clickers riled up enough to charge you or the enemy. But much like the original, you do not have unlimited ammo. Not even your melee weapon will last forever. So it's a constant balancing act between when to fight, when to sneak, or just outright avoid the situation. I'm a paranoid player, so I would never feel safe in an environment until every freaking enemy was eliminated. But there were instances where I just wanted to get through an area and get the hell out of there. No thanks to the brilliant audio design that I'll talk about later. The Last of Us 2 introduces new gameplay elements and puzzle styles that are a welcome addition to the familiar gameplay I talked about before. Some of these have been seen in preview videos. Ellie can jump now, so traversing environments will feel natural to veterans of, like, say, the Uncharted series. She can also swing across chasms, again, much like Nathan Drake does in Uncharted. This cross-pollinating of game mechanics felt natural in that The Last of Us 2 introduces environments that are much larger than the previous game. One might even say that it's kind of a micro open world game. No, not GTA or Red Dead Redemption size, but still, there are some elements to the game that feel so open world that you'll kind of get a little lost and feel, if you're a completionist, you're going to feel a little overwhelmed because there's so much to look at and so much to explore, and you don't want to leave any stone unturned. With the added jumping and climbing options, exploration takes the place of combat and stealth at times, making for a deeper gaming experience and one that rewards curiosity and investigation. And speaking of exploration, something that I seriously highly recommend for reasons that I can't talk about, you can still upgrade your character with elements found in the environment because, you explored. You can expand your life or extend the range of your listening ability, the ability from the original game that allowed you to perceive where enemies were lurking. Similarly, you can upgrade your weapons by expanding their ammo capacity and a bunch of other things that I don't want to detail for the same reason. Going back to that discussion about pacing, The Last of Us 2 has a pacing that begins with the narrative but continues into gameplay. Fans of the original game understand this. This is not a murder simulator for cordyceps. Cordyceps is real, by the way. It's the fungus that affects the insect kingdom and pretty much does what the fungus does in this game, only it's in the real world. Thank goodness this can't affect humans. Yet. Sometimes gunplay takes a backseat to simply absorbing the environment and knowing that you can return to the game proper whenever you feel like it. There's no doubt that pacing like this could potentially turn off certain types of gamers. So I say this only to bring awareness to those of you who might be playing Last of Us for the first time with this game. Otherwise, it's business as usual for folks who know that Naughty Dog places as much emphasis on organic character development as they do for every aspect of the game. Sometimes your character development happens while you're traversing the environment. While you're walking from point A to point B, the characters are having critical conversations that are integral to the story. That happens a lot here. And if you're the type of gamer that gets bored with that kind of stuff, it might not be your thing. But like I said before, people who have played Naughty Dog games have come to expect this kind of development. So it shouldn't be anything new. A testament to this aspect of narrative also comes into play where it seems like every person you kill on the field, every NPC has a name. Even the freaking dogs have a name.
Okay, girl. Step
Stealth kill an individual and his companions will acknowledge his death by name. Guys, they shot Bobby! This component is a reminder that what you are doing carries a lot of weight beyond the usual video game murder mayhem. You know how many NPCs have we killed in games not giving two thoughts about who they were, who their families were, who their friends were? Giving them a name kind of changes that dynamic. The Last of Us 2 manages to keep things interesting by not settling on one gameplay style for too long. But it also introduces some new puzzle elements that can be surprising as well as natural in their application. One of them in particular made me exclaim, "Oh, I can do that?" Because I didn't expect to be able to manipulate a certain object in that way. It was also far from the only time this game caused me to spit out expletives in surprise in how it handled certain situations. I specifically remember saying, no, they're not actually doing that. Holy shit, they're actually doing that. While exploring a certain area of The Last of Us 2, I sent a text to one of our writers and said, PS5 can wait. It was a joke based on how absolutely phenomenal this game looks. By now, Naughty Dog has probably learned the ins and outs of the PS4, so it's no surprise to see this level of detail given how amazing Uncharted 4 looked. But still, a current generation game should not give recent previews of next-gen consoles a run for their money, and there are times that The Last of Us 2 did just that. Beautiful environments are a telltale sign of a Naughty Dog game, but it's those little attention to details that shine here. Some of them you will only notice if you're really paying attention. Watching Ellie's face as she takes out a clicker is one example, and I only noticed it because I rotated the camera as she attacked an enemy from behind for a stealth kill. Her eyelids tightened as she struggled to hold on to the enemy and her face flushed. In fact, it's so detailed that sometimes I would rotate the camera away because this level of facial detail also applies to the enemies as they're struggling to stay alive. And it could be a little visceral. And I gotta say, after killing dozens and dozens of enemies, it was kind of hard to watch. The artist didn't have to add this detail. After all, you mainly see the character's back when you execute stealth kills. But for folks like me, who like to spin the camera around and watch the action, you will be rewarded with facial expressions that are representative of the actions being performed. If a clicker's guttural clicking sound doesn't unnerve you, then you have my respect. There are many examples out there that showcase why sound design in gaming is just as crucial as any visual element. Some might disagree, but one experience with a clicker at full surround volume might make a believer out of you. This is what I was referring to earlier. Sometimes just hearing the unnatural sound coming from a location was enough to take all the bravado from my person and turn it into do whatever the hell you need to exit this place as quick as possible. What makes the enemies in The Last of Us 2 so unique and terrifying is that Phase 2 infected scream as if they are suffering. They aren't grunting for effect, they are screaming and crying, which makes them far more terrifying than the boring, exhausting zombie nemesis. Similarly, the clicker's throaty, audible emote comes from the creature barely having a tongue, or mouth for that matter. Thus, it sounds like an expression of a human's voice minus the things we need to formulate words. These are the things you think about as you crawl down dimly lit hallways and hear these terrifying sounds coming from an unseen location. Bravo, sound team at Naughty Dog. Bravo for scaring the hell out of me.
I'm messing with you, man. I don't care. Get dressed.
Voice work takes us back to pacing. Pacing isn't necessarily credited only to voice talent. After all, a director instructs an actor or actress on how to deliver certain lines. But a great voice actor knows how to deliver a line with weight, particularly when that pacing is so crucial to its appropriate delivery. The Last of Us 2 has so many moments where that delivery and the masterful talent behind it create a blend of emotions and tone that would simply not work if there were any deviations in either direction. The talent behind these roles had to understand that they were living in a world where hope was not always available, and so every phase carried a weight, even when joking and lighter conversations were taking place. So if it isn't clear by now, there are going to be a crap load of candidates for Game of the Year in 2020. I certainly am not naming The Last of Us 2 as Game of the Year. It's too early to tell. There's a lot of games that are still coming, but folks will be adding this one to the list of the nominated. There's no question about it. It's clear that this is Naughty Dog's swan song on the PlayStation 4, and it shows accumulation of expertise generated over years of striving to create games that push the envelope across every aspect of their development. The only reason this game struggles is because it is a video game that expresses a narrative that goes beyond the gamey aspect of its surface. These are not polygonal characters on the other side of your TV. They are real people reacting to real situations, and not often with the bravado that you see in heroes of other titles. Hell, even Nathan Drake is an example of that extreme. Seems like he's having a good time while he's killing bad guys. This isn't fun for these characters. They don't want to be in these situations, but they have to be. And you as the player are along with them for a ride, whether you like it or not. It's this tonal level of storytelling and gameplay that very few game developers have matched, and one that garners the perfect score that this game deserves. Thanks for watching.